Crafty Babes, it's Andrea, and we're here to chat about all the ways we live our craftiest lives.
And I'm Melissa, and we're here to inspire you to craft in a way that works for you.
Yeah.
Episode 8, I think.
Yay. I know. I feel like it's been super busy, and it's been a long time since we've talked.
It's just been a crazy couple of weeks. I don't know what it is, because it's not the holidays, it's not the new year, but it's just been kind of crazy.
And it's not even summer. Like, summers can be really busy, too. I feel like both of us are heading into some cool busyness.
Yes.
So, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Yay.
So what are we talking about today? What's our episode called?
It's called Crafty Questions because we asked our members in our Hey Crafty Babes Facebook group to load us up with questions, and they totally came through.
Yeah,
they gave us a lot of questions.
Ones.
Yeah. I'm really excited to answer some. Hopefully we can get through all of them. We're just going to kind of go on down the line and see what we can get.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
I've got my phone with the questions on them, so I am ready to go.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, well, I'll start.
Perfect.
Okay, so Tammy Corky, she asked, how do you balance adulting and crafting? And my answer was I just ignore the adulting. I mean, duh.
I love it. I was going to say, I'm an adult? What?
I know. Says who? I'm looking around for one and I'm like, crap.
Wait a minute.
It's
I'm
me.
the adult.
Somebody has to feed them? Dang it.
Right?
Oh my gosh. But I also, I'm a firm believer in handling responsibilities, but I'm also a firm believer in, like, if I'm feeling like I don't want to do laundry, I'm just not going to do it.
Yep.
I mean, of course, there's a time and a place for all of that stuff, but I make crafting a priority because that, makes me happy, and laundry does not make me happy. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like, too, there isn't really a balance because sometimes there's just more things to do for the family.
In certain areas.
In some days, some weeks. And then other times, everybody's a little bit more self-sufficient, or I planned really well and I got things done, and so now I can spend my time crafting, and I kind of use it as a reward in a way, and I can go, okay, if I could just make sure all the laundry's folded, then I won't, and I don't really feel guilty that my kids have to, like, rifle through a clothes basket to get towels. I mean, I'm not a maid. And this isn't Downton Abbey, so.
If it were, there would be way more of you.
Exactly. And I could just sit there and embroider on my chaise, you know. Yeah.
You would have one job or whatever.
Exactly. Oh, goodness.
So
what
balancing
do you think?
Adulting and crafting, I feel like right now adulting is taking a lot more of my time. It's just this season. My husband's traveling a lot, and it's almost the end of the school year, which means I'm really trying to figure out what I'm doing for the next school year because we homeschool, and so I'm just making sure I have all my stuff planned out, or if I need to get new stuff or whatever. And I've really been making working out a priority, and so that's kind of my, like, homeschool and working out has kind of been my priority, and then whatever I can kind of squeeze in after that. So right now adulting is taking a little bit more time, but the things that make it easier for me, and I kind of talked about this when we talked about our Crafty Spaces episode, was having my stuff out where I am all the time. I don't have this crafty corner that's tucked away in the back recesses of the basement, where to go down there means I am not a part of everything else. Or I'm caught up in, I'm not able to kind of do both, because I can multitask relatively well. So if I have my stuff out on my desk where I am most of the time, the living room's right next door, the kids have desks in here, I can kind of just put some embellishments down when I can, or put some cards in when I can. And then another really big helpful thing for me in balancing crafting and adulting is just prepping myself with the boring stuff when I have the time and headspace for the boring stuff. And then when I have more of that alone time, it's a little bit easier to do the fun stuff because then that's all I'm doing, not
and you're a little bit more free.
Fun. Yeah. So having a space that's out near everything and kind of just being prepared helps.
Yeah, I can hear that. All right,
That's
number
our
2.
Next question here. Hold on, my phone locked me out.
I know. I need to turn mine to not turn off on me.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so Damaris Velasquez asks, "What's your crafty fantasy?" Is that like where you have inappropriate dreams involving craft supplies?
She gives you some examples here, little Missy.
Oh yeah, job. I was like, really?
Oh goodness!
I have not had one of those. Reining it back.
Oh goodness!
Your crafty fantasy, job, collab, design team. Okay, crafty fantasy. I would really just love to be caught up. That's
a good one.
As good as it gets for me. I mean, eventually I think it would be awesome to be on a design team. I would love something that I use a lot like LA Studio or Illustrated Faith because I can just about guarantee every single layout I have has one of those pieces.
For sure.
But I just would love to be caught up and be in a good rhythm.
Yeah.
So that's my crafty fantasy.
Mine's just I'm going to create a crafty empire. So I hope you're along for the ride because you're coming with me, girl.
Heck yeah. I'm pretty much just like your, I was like lackey is not the right word, but I'm just like, I'm like your cheerleader girl. I'm like, yeah, do it. Oh yeah, that's awesome. That's a great idea. Because you have all the coolest ideas. And I can say many. Yes, no, or that sucks really easily. I can't come up with the ideas as easily.
Yes, you totally are. Anything I bring to you, you're going to be completely honest.
Yep.
And you're going to have. Well, didn't you just send me that meme yesterday when you said like I have two best friends and one's like super logical and then the other one's like I'm gonna get you into some shifty crap and you're like you're both. I'm like you're both.
We are both. That's
we
pretty
are
good.
both.
I like it.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Crafty Empire's coming, y'all.
Stay tuned.
Zeffy, she is super fun in our group and she interacts a lot in the group, but I am not going to try her last name. I'm just not.
I was going to give you crap for that.
No, Zeffy, you are awesome, but
I'm like holding it closer to my face to try to read it better, but
you're going to have to
help us out, girl.
Help us out with how to say it. So she actually had a couple of questions, so we'll just do one at a time. Her first one is, do you spend more time organizing than crafting? And my answer is that sometimes some weekends require more organizing than crafting in order to have more crafting the next time. Mm-hmm. So sometimes it's just, if things get too overwhelming, if there's just too much coming into my space and not enough time being spent putting it away and being organized, then I do have to spend a good chunk of time, several hours that would be precious crafty time, putting stuff away so that when I do have the next opportunity to sit for a good amount of time, that just everything's where it needs to be.
Yep.
So
I don't think I spend more time organizing than crafting, but I'm also not quite as particular as you are. So I am a little bit more okay with kind of crafting amongst the mess. 99% of the time my desk looks like a bulldozer came and scooped up everything in my office and dumped it all. And I'm like, oh, where's that thing that I need or whatever. But I kind of have like these areas, like I know what's mine within the mess. And then every once in a while I clear it all out to start something else or whatever. But
right.
I I think if you have a good organizational base.
Yep.
Organizational base, yeah. Then cleanup is a little bit easier, or
Much
putting
easier.
things away is a little bit easier, and then you are able to craft well. And the times when I go, okay, stuff is still a mess and it's staying a mess and it's just not going back together, then then I know it's time to spend a little bit more time reorganizing. And it usually doesn't take more than a day or two, of spending a couple hours just rehauling the system. So
Yeah. And I love to organize too. I mean, I love to kind of go through my supplies. And her other question is, how do you find your mojo? And so that's a really good segue into that, because one of my favorite ways to get inspiration and to kind of find that mojo again is to go through my supplies, because they inspire me. And if I see something that I haven't used yet that I was so excited when I got it, that I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, I have this. Oh my gosh, let me go find a picture. What's going to go with this? And then the ideas just kind of spiral out of just seeing a fun card or a fun color alpha. So staying, I've talked about this before, but kind of being intimate with your supplies. You kind of know what you have and you know what's exciting.
Yeah. Absolutely. I would probably say lately my mojo has kind of come from just that desire to be caught up. So it's not necessarily like the good kind of mojo, like the mojo where I'm making extraordinary things, but it's mojo that's getting me crafting. And I always
it's
love
motivation.
Yes.
Yep.
And I think, it's it's just like anything. The more you're in it, the better you get at it, and the more
absolutely
mojo you have. And so the times when I'm regularly crafting of any sort, I'm kind of soaking that up and able to output it a little bit better.
You kind of have to practice it, just like anything else that you want to be really good at. And I notice that when I'm constantly creating and I'm just in a constant state of creativity, it just gets better and better. And when I'm in that groove, I'm creating like all of my favorite things. But if I take time off, like if I don't get any craftiness done during the week, then it's hard for me to rev up when Friday night or Saturday morning comes and I'm like, I don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
Yep. And so staying in it, staying creative regularly certainly helps keep your mojo, and it helps you find it a lot quicker if you've lost it.
Absolutely. Okay, so our next question is from Danielle, and she asks if you could design your own line of crafting or scrappy products. What would they be? Colors, design elements, etc. This would be tough. I am always looking for red. That's something that comes to mind off the top of my head. I always seem to not be able to find as much red supplies.
Same, girl.
Or like the right red. It's not like true red. It's tomato red or it's burgundy red.
It's got too much pink or it's burgundy. Yeah.
Yes.
I know.
So
and
I don't know. I feel like
people complain about where's all the purple, and I'm like, where's all the red?
Where's all the red? Yeah.
Yes.
So I would love red things, and I would also love, what was I thinking about the other day? Gosh, now I don't even know what it was, but I was thinking of something that would be cool to have.
Yeah.
Scrapbook. I feel like I would be the type of person who would just love to have a lot of good neutrals and let other people rock let Felicity Jane rock the amazing florals and let, I feel like I would be more of a, give me some good stripes or some good grids or some good wood patterns or something, and then be able to kind of build off of that. So that's what's coming to mind. I don't know if that's a very good answer.
I like it. Yeah, and I was struggling with this too because I typically appreciate other people's designs more than my own.
Yeah.
And so I think I don't think that I would ever pass up an opportunity if I had the chance to design my own line, because I have a style that I think would be fun to see on paper. But I really enjoy creating with other people's stuff because I think I would be afraid that if I spent a lot of time designing it, that I wouldn't want to create with it.
Yep.
But I think that everybody could tell that it would be mine. Like, I want it to have, a super vintage feel. But I don't know. That's something I haven't really thought of just because the opportunity hasn't been there.
I think if you designed a scrapbook line, because I'm totally going to make you one of these days, it would totally be vintage, but it would be vintage meets modern. Mm-hmm. So it would have this, vintage flair, vintage accents, but with a modern, that relates to modern life. Because there's sometimes I see vintage stuff and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so vintage. You couldn't scrapbook.
Right.
Anything
totally
current with it. And so I feel like your stuff would be vintage modern with reds and yellows and lots of like cool quotes and like bold design graphics.
Have you been in my brain?
Yes.
Have I shared things with you?
No. Well, not that. You shared other things, but it's totally been on my mind lately. It's to make you design things because you have that kind of brain. So
that's funny.
Don't worry, crafty babes. I'm pushing my brain waves.
We're getting somewhere. So our good friend Susanna, she asked, where do you find the most crafty inspiration? And my inspiration usually comes from Instagram because the ladies that are in this community are ridiculously talented. Mm-hmm. So even if there's something about their layout that I'm like, I could never do that in a million years and it looked the same, I can always take something like, I'm like, wow, like that's a big, bold title. I could use that and simplify it to make it feel like me. I just feel like there's so much inspiration on Instagram. It's my favorite place. And then also the thing that inspires me most of the time is the products that I get to work with. Mm-hmm. So when LE Studio comes out with a new kit or a new collection, I mean, that just sets me off and I start flying through my photos and I'm like, what matches? Oh, this goes with this and this goes with this. And I'm picking all of my things. And like, that's where my heart starts fluttering with excitement.
When they have when a company puts together or a person puts together a color palette and then they, bring in some design elements and things. And like when they put it all together like that, it makes my brain go like, wow, the possibilities it just opens up because I would have never put those things together. So when they do the bulk of the work as far as coordinating, a graph background with a floral and then certain colors, but then they add in a wood pattern. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up off the top of my head. But then I go,
it works.
Oh, I could, if they do that hard work for me, then I can go, oh yeah, I can add this or I can do this or whatever. But if I'm having to, if I had a bunch of colors and a bunch of textures in front of me and I had to put it together to make something, I'd be like, huh?
Right. Yeah, that's work in itself. And when somebody else does it for you, it just makes the creating process so much smoother and so much freer and less like work.
Yes. And I would say exactly the same thing as you. Instagram is where I find my inspiration. I mean, ever since you showed me collections, because I didn't know how to work collections, I was constantly screenshotting things and then having to go through and organize them once I offloaded them onto my computer.
Yep.
But then they were only on my computer because I delete my photos every month. And so it was hard to be able to have those easy to access. And so now that I can do now that I have access to collections, I like it, comment on it if I need to, put it in a collection, and then I can go back and go, like you said, sometimes it's not the entire, sometimes I wouldn't go, I love every single thing about this layout. Sometimes it's just, I love that they put a label, a whole row of labels. I saw somebody the other day use a whole sheet of those LA Studio cut apart labels.
I know.
To do something. I don't remember what it was.
It was, she used it on the edge. It was either Susan or I forget whose it was, but I was like, that's genius.
I just was like, you cut apart labels. That's what you do. And then they used it as a thing. And I was like, ooh. And so it just, so that pretty. Little thing will spark just something new for me, because when I find something that works, I tend to just copy, paste on my layouts, because I'm, again, so behind. So I tend to keep it simple. But when I see something like that, I go, oh, I'm gonna do that, and I'll make that a priority, or when I feel like I need to switch something up or whatever. So definitely Instagram. It used to be Pinterest for me.
Oh, same.
And Pinterest I still use it a lot for home decor and recipes, but more of the people that I get inspiration from aren't putting their stuff on Pinterest. They're just putting it on Instagram, which is awesome.
Because then it's all there. And especially with the collections, it's like Pinterest for Instagram.
Exactly. That was a super stinking brilliant move.
I know. I know. And if you don't know, the little flag that's by each image on Instagram, if you tap it, it'll save to your master collection. But if you hold it, then you can build different collections, just like there are boards in Pinterest, and you can have like a home collection and a pocket pages or a traveler's notebook, and then you can just save them in the different collections. So,
and if you did just save them all to a mass collection, like I did at first, you can then go back to your, all your photos in your collection and put them places.
Right. You can organize them.
Yes.
Yay.
Okay, so our next question is from Melanie Butler, and she asked, how do you balance all of your crafty projects? I seem to be able to only focus on one. It had been Project Life, now it's Bible journaling. How can I do multiple projects at once? Well, not literally, but without weeks and weeks between. That was funny. Not literally all at once. For me, the best way for me to do that is having a big enough workspace where I can have 2-ish things out.
I'm answering your question with you. I'm like, I know what you're going to say.
Yes.
Yes.
Because I have my front desk and kind of a side desk. And so usually I'll leave my Project Life 12 by 12 album out on my side desk.
True.
And I'll kind of work in my main space or whatever. And then when I need to pull out my Bible journal, I'll just work on that on my main desk. And then I will also, and then if I need to, if I need this side space, I can fold up my Project Life album and put it away. But I would just say, completing a step within each thing at a time, so Bible journaling is a little bit easier to just do a page because it's smaller.
And be done.
But with Project Life, what I'll do is if I'm in the middle of a page and I need to stop for whatever reason, I'll finish the card I'm working on.
Yeah.
Or I'll go, I'm going to do all the journaling on this page. That's where I've been really trying to start, because usually my journaling cards are pretty easily identifiable.
Yep.
Or my journaling spaces or whatever. And so I'll kind of get those all done. And then next time I come in, I can go to embellishing or whatever. So that's kind of the way I do it. And I think you just kind of have to make a priority for you what your priority is.
Right. What's getting your creative juices flowing at that time.
Or what you feel like is most important. I always Bible journal because that's kind of my... I'll do Bible study for a while, or I'll do whatever, and then I'll take it and turn some of it into Bible journaling. And so that's kind of something I'm always doing. Not every day, not even every week necessarily, but it's kind of easy for me to just pick, one thing that really stood out for me from our sermon, or one thing that really stood out for me in my notes or whatever that I want to Bible journal. And then on usually days when I'm having a harder day, I'll turn to Bible journaling because it just gives me that boost.
Yeah.
It's a little deeper. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
not as surfacey.
Yeah. And then days when I am just feeling it, when I'm feeling it a little bit more, feeling a little bit more crafty, I'll either do my Project Life album or my 6x8 personal album or something. And those are probably the only two mediums that I fluctuate between, like a personal album or not mediums.
Formats.
Formats. There we go. And I tried to do kind of crafty planning for a while, like the whole decorating a planner and stuff like that. And I couldn't keep up with all of it. And that was giving me the least, like you said, giving me the least joy, because I was like, I'm decorating these planner pages and then I'm going to throw them away. Like I don't. Yeah. And so it just never clicked super well for me. And so I just found what was most important to me, which was preserving my stories and my family's stories. Yes. And then kind of have my one alternative, which is like my personal Bible journaling. So that's what I do. And
to echo the different formats, you do have to kind of pick and choose what you're feeling at the moment. And because I have so many projects, like I'm going to start the 100 days of Bible promises. And then I've always got a TN going, and I've always got my family album going, and I've always got a faith journal going. And there are so many things. And I have to ask myself, what do I want to do right now? And I will pick that thing up and I will start it. And if it is not happening, I will put it away.
It's just not happening.
I won't force myself to do it. I will move on to something else. And you just have to pick and choose. But I actually just recently moved all of my active projects into one bin in one cube of my calyx. I've got, I don't know, I'm looking back here and I've got a whole bin right here that I actually just set up of all of my active Project Life 6x8 albums, my current Traveler's Notebook albums that are still kind of active that are not finished. I've got scripture writing challenge in there. I felt like all of my projects were very isolated by themselves. And so I really needed to just hone in so that I had a nice visual of all of the things that I'm working on. And so when I'm ready to sit down and look, I don't have to go, oh, well, Bible journaling stuff is over here, and art Traveler's notebooks are over here, and scripture writing is in a different place than Bible journaling. It wasn't flowing well for me. So now I have a nice little bin where everything that I'm currently working on just kind of lives. And then I can just grab what I'm working on. And then I can either grab art supplies or grab Ellie Studio bin, as far as the product's concerned. But the actual, what do you call it? Like the vehicle. Yeah. They're all in the same spot. So that's been really helpful. But more about like the mental state of when I'm choosing what project to work in, I have to feel it. If I sit down with the Traveler's Notebook and I've got a photo that I think I want to do and it's just not working, I'm going to not finish it and put it away and try again another time and bust out some other format until I find what it is that's really, like you said, providing me joy. Yeah. Because I don't want to work on something that I'm not enjoying. It's precious time. Yeah, but absolutely. I also don't get obsessed about one kind of thing. I get really bored really fast. Yeah. So it really helps that I have a lot of different projects so that I can kind of jump from thing to thing. If I've spent an hour and a half, 2 hours working on pocket pages, I'm kind of like done. And I go, okay, you know what? I'd like to just do some scripture writing, something I don't really have to design, or I'm going to just kind of paint so that I can practice, It's nice to be able to jump around. So, Melanie is kind of questioning why she's only able to focus on one, but maybe she could try to, try jumping around. And maybe that could help.
Yeah, totally.
Our next question's from Susan Martin, and she says, do you keep track of ideas or stories that you want to document, and how do you do that? So for me, recently, I've been kind of keeping sticky notes everywhere, and it hasn't been working, and so my typical next step is to create some kind of physical paper tracker. And that's kind of what I'm working on at the moment. I'm kind of developing what that's going to be like and what that might work, how that might work for me. And so it's, it just usually starts with the table. And I've got like columns of different things that I want to keep track of, what I might need, what phase it's in, just what photos I might need to print, that kind of thing. Because it does get kind of overwhelming to have all the unfinished projects. But my list is getting long. So, what about you?
I don't currently really keep track. It's something that I would like to do. So I will probably either put it in my planner when you come out with the paper tracker, or sometimes when I do think of things and I really don't want to forget it, I'll just create a note in my phone.
Yeah.
So I'd like to start doing that a little bit more, just because I would like to be more intentional about scrapbooking certain stories and not just our weekly life. So since I have not started my 2018 Project Life album, I have been toying with the idea of not doing Project Life like on a weekly basis, but
Ooh, girlfriend.
I just haven't figured out, mostly because I'm so far behind. And so I'm thinking to myself, if I keep with the weekly format, I'm just always going to feel behind, and that kind of takes some of the joy out for me.
Oh, so girl, I feel you.
I'm like, you know what? At this point, none of it's getting scrapbooked. And so even if I just say I'm going to do a monthly for the ones I'm behind in and then start up on weekly, or if I'm going to pick my favorite story for each of the kids that month, or I just haven't exactly figured that out yet. But I do know that I want to take a more story-based approach, and just really tell the good stuff, because as I'm getting caught up, I'm glossing over a lot of the whys because I don't remember them. From 6 months ago, I don't remember that we had a hard day and that we did all this or whatever. Like on the really bad ones or the really good ones, I can remember those, but I'm not remembering I just hit my phone on my desk. I'm not remembering the feelings and stuff like that. So I probably will use phone or paper tracker.
Well, I want you to segue into, we're going to skip one question because I feel like this other question is a great segue after how you just answered your last question. It's the one from Mary Wagner. So I'll read that one and you can answer it, and then we'll go back to the one right above it.
Perfect.
So Mary is asking, if you have young children and take tons of photos, how do you decide what stories and pictures to scrapbook?
That is a great question. Oh my gosh.
Question for you, my love.
Oh my gosh. I would say one easy way is, and sounds superficial, but if it's a good photo or a bad photo.
Yeah.
If the photo didn't
come... It's a good place to start.
Yes. It just gives me kind of one aspect to weed things out. It doesn't mean I get rid of the photo if it's something super adorable, like my daughter running around in purple underwear or something, where I'm like, this is so adorable, but it's so blurry. And then going, I'll keep this, doesn't necessarily mean I have to scrapbook about it.
Right.
And then another kind of way, especially when I'm going through my Project Life album from this past year and finding a lot of extra photos. I am taking too many photos to fit in my week. So if it's a repeat of something, if it's my daughter sitting at the kitchen counter with super crazy hair because she wakes up with bedhead at least half the day she wakes up, she has crazy bedhead. And so I'll go, you know what? I just did a layout about a crazy bedhead. Do I really need to do include that photo this time. And so I'll look for things that are different.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I'd say the last thing is if it's just a really special story that I want to tell. You know, if it was a day where, you know, I came around the corner and Jonah was reading to his sister unprompted, or if we tried out a new park or whatever. And my kind of backup, or the thing that makes me feel better about not scrapbooking everything, is I always keep the photos.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, I don't, I the only ones I get rid of are ones that are, you know, I took 17 shots of the same shot. Or
and you edited the good ones and
and then
those.
I got rid of, you know, all but 5 because they showed slightly different angles or whatever. So those would kind of be a couple of my deciding factors.
I would like to follow up with you on that once you've made a decision on how you're going to do 2018
and
memory
how the
keeping
selection process
and how the selection's going. What's making the cut?
Yeah, and I think man, I can't talk. When my kids were younger, I'd say from 0 to 1, I kept a lot more because they were changing a lot.
Oh, so much.
And then I would say when they hit milestones, there were kind of more that I was keeping. And now at age 2 to 3 is when I'm feeling a little bit more freedom to where she's not changing quite as much. And then even now that Jonah's older, I'm getting less and less photos of him because he's a 6-year-old boy and he doesn't want to stand there and have his photo taken all the time. So it's kind of naturally helping me to be selective. Or when he takes photos, it looks the same every time.
The Jonah look.
Yeah,
the stare.
It's just like the taking a photo. So sometimes life just helps you out with that a little bit.
I agree.
Okay, so back to our other question. Susan Martin says, "Do you keep track of ideas?" Oh wait,
no, we already did that one. Rachel Tompkins. Sorry. Rachel Tompkins asks, if you could have an unlimited supply of one crafty product, what would you choose? Ooh, I would probably have to say good Project Life cards. And ooh, that's a good one. Not and one.
Oh, okay, good Project Life cards.
An unlimited lifetime supply of one crafty product.
Oh my gosh, I thought we got to pick 2. Okay.
Isn't
good
that
Project
hard?
Life cards.
Okay.
That's what I will say.
Mine is, okay, good. Well, mine's patterned paper, so then we'll just get together and we'll just share.
There we go.
Because with patterned paper, I figure I can make washi strips, I can make die cuts. Like if I still have access to scissors and punches, then I can make circles and clouds and shapes out of those things.
Wait,
and I can make
answer.
Cards. No, we're going to share.
The letter E.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I just have an unlimited supply of every manufacturer's design, sticker, everything they've ever made, just E's.
Yep. Okay, I'll take the pattern paper, you take the letter E, and we'll be good.
Perfect.
Because even with pattern paper, I can make my own alphas.
Exactly.
So then we can just throw in the cool letter E's from all of your E's.
There we go.
All right. Stephanie, so I don't know if Stephanie's name is Stephanie Ray or if her name is Stephanie and just her middle name is Ray, so she likes to have it in there. So I'm going to just call her Stephanie.
That works.
But she says, what's the one... Oh, she has actually a few questions, so let's do one at a time.
Okay.
What's one project that doesn't really interest you? Just one off the top of your head.
I would say the exact same thing that you did, only because I have your answers here in front of me, which is really decorative planning.
Yeah, the super decorative planning. I did try that, and I do some decorating
Yep.
on my planner spreads, but yeah, I can't get behind that. For the exact same reason you did. It was like, what am I doing with those pages when I'm done? Because I'm already memory keeping.
Yep. I think if people just did it as a form of memory keeping, it could be really awesome. But because I really like the kind of pocket page system, that is how I choose to memory keep.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. What are your thoughts on getting the photos in and the who, what, where down versus telling the story and not caring if you have a photo? And my answer is like, a story is a story even if you don't have a picture. And you can absolutely tell a story without a photo.
Sure.
You know? But I'm wondering if she's not remembering what the story is about because she doesn't have a photo to kind of help jog her memory. So I was a little just not confused about the question, but I just wasn't really 100% sure how to answer it.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I would kind of just say I am definitely more inclined to tell a story if I have a photo.
Yeah.
I just feel like I'm a photo-based scrapbooker. Mm-hmm. So
agreed. It's hard to tell a story without a photo.
Yes.
Because I think just being creative, we're visual people. So
yeah. And sometimes I will scrapbook a photo that's not entirely relevant. I keep extra photos, extra selfies that didn't work in the spread I wanted, or extra photos of the kids that were accidentally printed twice or whatever, and I'll throw a random one in someplace if I really feel like a story needs to be told and it's about one of them. So that's what I would do.
Even if it's just like you're saying, if it's an extra photo, right?
Yep.
And you know that there was a story about it, but you already told it. I like to use those for like, okay, here's what you're into right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Or telling something extra, because you don't want to look at a photo and tell every single thing there is to tell. Sometimes you want to just tell one thing and then later on maybe tell another thing when you're lacking a photo.
Yeah. Yep. And then her third question is, what's the one product that seems like everyone loves and has to have, but you're like, eh? My answer is animal embellishments. I can't get behind the giraffes and the llamas and stuff.
I would say
literal scrapbooking.
Yeah, you are a literal scrapbooker.
Okay, what's yours?
I'm trying to think.
See, that's why you should have prepared.
I know. Totally.
That's all right. We can move on if you don't have one.
I can't think of anything in particular other than I don't know. I don't really care for people embellishments.
Yeah, like cute little girls or
even
I have a hard time using them too.
Because I think that's where my literalness comes into play, and I'm like, that doesn't. Now, if it's
I don't know this person
cartoony enough, like it, how Crate Paper had the cute girl collection, and they kind of had some doll-looking things and some wooden peg-looking people.
True.
Those I had no problem using because
Interesting.
I don't know, I just didn't. But like I'm thinking of some of the different people stamps or whatever, like even Felicity Jane's. Girls and stuff like that, unless I'm doing a layout about me and I just so happen, but then it feels like I have a picture of me over here. Why would I have like this girl?
I know.
I don't know. So I'd say that's
I get you.
One thing I don't really get.
Cool.
Also digital flowers, like the, that people would use. They kind of look like those paper flowers that people used to use, whatever those ones were called.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
but they're
the Prima
digital,
flowers.
And
I hear you.
I've gotten those in a couple packs I've gotten, and I've gone, I just don't think I'll use these.
I agree. Yeah.
So, okay, what's our next question?
Go to the next question from Jamie.
Hold on. My phone shut off again. Okay, from Jamie. What are your go-tos in terms of colors, products, designs, etc.? Okay, colors. I don't know, any color plus black and white, I would say.
Yes.
Or adding a wood accent.
Ooh,
I can always add a wood or a gray. Those kind of go with everything. True. Products, Ellie Studio. is a pretty big go-to for me. And then for journaling cards, In a Creative Bubble is kind of just a go-to. I know they'll have good journaling cards. And then for just straight up adorable, Crepe Paper and Felicity Jane are kind of my go-to. And I guess those are more designers or brands, but you know, sometimes you just know you can get certain things from certain places.
Exactly. And you know what you're looking for, so you know that you can go to them.
Yes.
And you're always going to get that.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And then as far as designs go, pocket pages, and I typically use, I think it's the design F. That's the one 4x6 and all the rest 3x4s.
Yeah.
That's a good one. My biggest go-to, just because I tend to have the most up and down photos. And then for my personal album, my 6x8 album, I'll do the 2 3x4s on top and the 1 4x6 on the bottom is kind of my
I like that one.
Go-to. And then if I happen to do a layout or something, I tend to like do a wonky grid where everything's smushed together. I don't know. I'm special.
Grid. you're yay. Grids are definitely my design go-to. It's like if all else fails, just line things up all nice and tidy, and I'm happy.
Yeah.
As far as products, my go-tos are always like a 3x4 card, labels, and hearts. Mm-hmm. So I didn't talk about specific designers like you did, which I thought was a really fun look at what products you would go to. For me, I don't really care who makes these. Yeah. I just need cards, and I need labels, and I need hearts, because those are just easy. And then as far as color, I just like need to straight up match the photos. So whatever colors just match. Yeah. That makes me happy.
Totally.
We have a question from Eliza Marquez, and she says, what would you scrapbook if you didn't have kids? For example, I don't have kids and have tons of things I scrapbook about. I'm curious what you guys would scrap. And my answer was, we both have personal albums in which they are non-kid related. Yep. And so we find lots of fun things to scrapbook about that are not people at all, other than ourselves, like, snacks. Yep. That we like, and treats especially, and tacos are like my go-to things that I like to scrapbook about. And then my outfits, I love to scrapbook my outfits because I just feel like it's such a timestamp on the style, right now. So those are my answers.
I scrapbook a lot about workouts. Just because if I get a workout done, I'm just really proud of myself. And so I'll scrapbook that, hey, I worked out, I did another one, or hey, look, I have muscles now, or,
what a great way to see the progress.
Yes. And photos are really, really helpful with that. I'm not the best at taking like good selfies that actually show progress, but
that's true. But I'm like, you take great selfies.
Well, yeah,
but you mean like of your.
It's hard to take selfies of like your stomach and your legs, and I really need to have Chad help me get some good ones just so I can be able to track that progress. But other than workouts, I'll scrapbook what I eat. And books I'm reading. Yeah.
I like to document like the weather. Yeah. I like scenery, where I'm like, it's such a pretty, clouds. Yeah. Pretty clouds out, I like the sun. I like how the sun was coming through the clouds, those kinds of things, and a feeling about it, you know?
I am trying to think what else I scrapbook. I scrapbook about scrapbooking sometimes just because I'm... Like, the scrapbooky products are so adorable. I'm like, I want to scrapbook about scrapbooking. And it's something I love to do. So,
it's part of your life.
Need to do more scrapbooking that's not just selfies. Not that there's anything wrong with selfies. Right. But I look back through my album and I'm like, I would like to see more than just my face. But sometimes I just forget about the other things because I do have young kids and they're doing adorable things. And so sometimes I forget to take a picture of the movie I'm watching or the whatever. And so the good news about some of those things is that if it's a movie I'm watching or a TV show, I can go online and get the image for it.
Yes.
And do it that way. And I know even with foods and stuff like that, you can use online product images. There's nothing...
Pictures from the internet.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Or even quotes. You and I both do that. Cool quotes.
We do.
Either using the image that came with the quote sometimes or just rewriting
like retyping it. Yep.
Or retyping it. So
yeah.
I could find things to scrapbook about all day long.
Exactly. Well, we're close to the end here. We've got one final question and just a few minutes left. So, how do you know when Julianne Hammond asks, how do you know when your layout or spread is done? And I just kind of have to say that it's kind of a feeling. The point that I measure is if I am trying too hard to add just one more thing and I'm struggling with it, I know that shouldn't go on there. I know that it's not natural and it's not me, and that's when I just step back, and I'm usually always much happier when I've refrained from adding more.
Yes.
So, but you kind of have to know what your style is too, to know when it's done for you, because it may not be done for someone else. You watch Sue's Fish and her videos, and it's so magical how she continues and continues and continues and adds and adds and adds. And I could never make it look like that.
Yeah.
You know, it would feel so unnatural. And so you just have to know your own limits.
Yeah. When I think, you know, I'll just try this one thing, then I almost always end up regretting it.
Yep.
So I almost feel like, because there are times when I would like to try things, and so I almost feel like it would be helpful for the times when I want to try something to try it on a scratch piece of paper, you know, to slap some paint or some, you know, especially because the things that I am curious about trying are more of a mixed media style.
True.
And so I'm like, maybe if I just play around with that. But for me, when I'm working on a layout, which is typically, you know, a pocket card, I tend to go pretty simple, especially right now, just being behind again. Just going, okay, I know if I go boom, 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 you know, have a group of 3 or an odd number of things, then I go, that's just fine. And
it's just enough.
Worst case scenario, if I ever go back through my albums and go, I think a star would look perfect here, I just slap a star on. Like, no big deal.
Yeah, why not?
So I just tend to put a couple things on there and then just call it good.
That's right.
I definitely go for a simpler design.
Yeah. And that just depends on what you're comfortable with.
Absolutely.
So. Yeah. Well, I think we got so many good questions answered today. I'm super happy about this episode.
This was a lot of fun. I've been wanting to do this from the very beginning. Just find out what people are curious about. Yeah. And I just think it's super fun answering questions like this. So
I agree. And I think what we'll do is maybe we'll revisit and ask some more questions after a few more episodes have passed. So we'll make this a regular thing, but, you know, not too often. Because we have a lot of things we still want to talk about. So.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up for this episode. And we just want to remind you to subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can always subscribe and listen as a podcast as well on iTunes or whatever podcasting app you like. And then also come and join our Hey Crafty Babes Facebook group. That is on Facebook. And then, anything else I'm forgetting?
I think that
Follow
is
us on Instagram.
Yes.
Follow us on Instagram.
That's where we are most of the time. So
absolutely. Yep. So, we're going to wrap this episode up, and we'll just say thank you so much for watching.
Or listening. Bye.
Bye.